What's going on, you guys? How you guys doing? Welcome to Recruiting 101 with DEJON Jernigan, Director of Recruiting, California Recruits, Arizona Recruits, Texas Recruits. I am excited about having you guys here today. I am just checking my feed here in my on my Twitter and making sure everything is on, everything's working, everybody's doing well. Hope you had a happy new year as we go into the new recruiting season. Uh, right now, today we have a uh, very good show um, in right now. Um, yeah, I want to. We have a very good show, and we're going to be talking about PI, performance, influence, and exposure, the new way of recruiting. And I want to talk with each of you, talk to you guys a little bit about that and get into it. I want to make sure that we are up to date on this whole thing of performance, influence, exposure. The PI system explained is what we're going to call the show today, and really talking about what this whole recruiting thing is about and how it has changed the scope of recruiting when it comes to you being able to go, Power Five and kids wanting to play and go to the next level. Okay, so I want to make sure you guys are in there. I'm going to change my privacies right now to public. It says see all, but there it is. I changed it to public. So if my brother Eric Muhammad was calling me, I think that's what he was letting me to know, that we make sure that everybody can see this, share this on a number of different platforms, because I'm gonna tell you guys, this is truly the new way of recruiting and how this thing is going. Really not new. So when I say new, I want to make sure that I preface it, not so much new, but it's being looked at as even more intense now, and how you're going to get your kid recruited, how that's going to happen with a kid getting recruited and going to the next level. And when I say next level, that's on any level. If anybody has watched me over the years, we've constantly talked about this from this perspective, that every level of recruiting has gotten better because of the transfer portal. But there's some other factors that are in there that uh, um, what other factors that are in there that you have to understand. And where you need to understand this is at the lower levels, starting at um, the lower levels of youth football to high school football, and understanding that high school football, high school sports, whether we talk about football, whether we talk about basketball, baseball, any other sport, the transfer portal is here. Free agency is here. When we talk about football, most of the time, I'm gonna just share with you guys now. It's huge. It's a really huge thing. Yeah, yes, E. Hello. I'm on. I'm on. I don't know what you're not watching. So um I don't know how to share this more than in any other way than to share with share with you that recruiting has changed. And if you are still in the vein right now, if you're still in that vein of where you are, um, you're still doing, thinking that recruiting is the same way as it was when your student, when your kid, when you played, you totally missed it. There's a lot of money involved. Just got the phone with a coach, University of Oregon, and he's letting me to know, even with his son, some of you guys have saw his son go in the portal. You guys saw that he's his son is in the portal and that um, he's gonna be leaving his own son, right? So this is a coach and his own son went in the portal because there's a lot of other factors that are not there. So I want to share with you guys what pie recruiting is. We're going to go through what the performance is, what the influence makeup is. If I were you and I was a parent, if I were you and I were a coach, if I were you, if I was somebody that is really, really trying to help student athletes in a way, I would tell you right now, I would definitely grab notes, take some notes in what this whole thing is about. It's what I've been saying for the last few years, but it's really put it into a perspective and where you can really see how this thing goes and what this thing is about. Okay. The very first thing that we're gonna really talk about is who is this athlete that is going to be part of um, this pie recruiting. We know, and I talk about it all the time. The 2% athlete. Who is that? The 2% athlete. Who is he or she again? Who is it? The 2% athlete is made up of a number of different things. If you're playing sports in high school, you're probably playing varsity sports at a young age, sophomore year, if not ninth grade year. You're playing basketball, you're 2% athlete, you're playing varsity basketball in the ninth grade, you're not playing JV or on the lower classes. If you're a 2% athlete, which means the 2% means these are the 2% of the athletes that are going to be recruited by Power Five schools. If you are a ninth grader, eighth grader coming in, you don't really know where you are. We're going to talk about how you understand that factor. That factor is going to come in based upon measurable size and those things. But the 2% athlete either plays varsity as a sophomore. They play, and I say play, they either start or they play more than 50 to 60% of the time. They're on the field because they have good film. They have film they're going to be at. After that sophomore season, they are going to be somebody who has the opportunity to obtain some type of scholarships early on. They're getting invited to invite only camps. Their name is put on in a ranking system where they're being ranked on ranked websites like 24/7 Sports, On3.com, ESPN Top 300. In their particular class, those student athletes have scratched the surface. So you got to find out. This is why we always talk about signing up with a service as early as possible, and a service that's going to talk to you for real. That's going to tell you for real where you are in this process. If you are 2%, you should know that by the end of your sophomore year, going into your junior year, and it is all going to be based upon some of those factors. But the number one factor is going to be, do you have measurable size, right? So I talk about the measurable size piece. If you're a corner, wide receiver, you're somebody that is going to play at the next level, and you're 5'8", 5'9", you're not hitting that, but do you hit the 4.4, 4.3 mark in your speed and your vertical? Do you have your GPA? Is it where it needs to be? You have to hit one of the metrics that are there so you can be part of that 2%, and you play varsity sports early on. I'm trying to not just say football because I want everyone to know that we at California Recruits, we work with every sport. But if we just talk about football right now, those are the factors that you need to really consider. And no matter what sport is, do you have the measurable size that would fit a Division I program? If you do not, you're probably not in that small 2%. And that 2% was done, you guys, prior to 2014, 13. It's probably down to about 1.5% because there was no portal at that time. So now that there's a transfer portal, you have to understand that now that there's a transfer portal, you have to understand that those numbers are always skewed. There's not like it's full on. It's 2%. And we're talking a high school athlete being recruited and how the pie system comes in. So another factor that people have argued for very, very long time is, does it matter where I attend high school? Does it matter or does it not? I'm gonna explain both thoughts depending on where you are. I'm in a city called in Bakersfield in California, and I believe it matters if you're gonna play Division 1 football in the divisions here. We are a low recruited city anyway. 400,000 people, 23 high schools, kids are scattered everywhere. The best players need to play in one place. The best players need to play together in order to make an impact to where coaches are going to go look. And if you're a measurable size guy, then they're going to come and look because you're playing at a high level. Because what are they comparing? Can you play against top competition? You can be a measurable size guy. I had a kid here, loving the death, Jeremiah Foster, 6'5" wide receiver, playing at Bakersfield Christian. At that time, I want to say they were D3, D4. He led everybody, 10 interceptions, 30 touchdowns, all this stuff. And he scratched the surface at Dixie State and Sac State were the schools he got. 6'5" wide receiver, because they're not dumb, guys. They know when they look on film and you're running past 5'8", 5'7" DBs that they don't have that size, and you're not playing on a top level. Could he play on that level? I believe he could, but the question was, it's not seen on film, so I don't know that. And so in this era, this climate, I would have to say and believe that if you have the opportunity to play at the top level, you got to play at the top level because you're being measured by that. Now, if you're O-line, D-line, and you're just a big kid and you can move, you might have the ability with measurable size to play wherever, but you still may not scratch the surface at an SEC, Power 5, Pac-12, Big 12, Big 10 type school, because there's going to be some question marks. So the camps you attend, the things that you do are going to be huge factors in your recruiting. But these things, do you have measurable size? Do you play varsity as a sophomore? Somebody can tell me right now, oh yeah, he played varsity as a sophomore, but he's 5'11" and they're not playing top competition. I think this question came up the other day when we were on another show, and somebody said, well, the 5'9" DB at Mater Dei or Bosco is definitely not looked at as the same 5'9", 5'8" DB that's playing at Lusinger, or I won't say Lusinger because he has great kids. Maybe a Hawthorne High School or something like that. Depending on where you are, you got to measure that out and say, hey, in order for me to scratch the surface at my goal, if my goal is Georgia, my goal is USC, I got to go play with the dogs. I got to go play at the top competition. I got to be able to get on the field, because if I'm not measurable size and I'm fast and I'm an athlete and I can do some things, I got to be able to show these guys that can happen, and I got to do it on the right level. So those are the early factors that we're going to talk about. When we talk about pie recruiting, that's it. So is it the right high school? Do I have the measurable size? Right? Am I doing the things that I need to do? And so, parents, how this goes, number one is your performance. What does performance have to do with it? We know in all of it is performance, right? Performance is what that P stands for. It's the first part. It refers to an athlete's abilities and achievements in their respective sport. Who are you? Can you play? Again, that achievement. When we talk about in California, Texas, Florida, the top 3 recruited states in sports every year in, year out, it's either going to be Texas, Florida, California, Texas, Florida. It just varies. The best athletes come from those 3 states. Then you start sliding in Louisiana and some of the other places. But those 3 states, size-wise, the amount of athletes, the weather, our kids get to play year-round, longer times than some of these other places. So those are the 3 places. Your performance is going to be looked at differently. When I'm placing baseball or softball girls, they get placed quicker California because they get to play more games. They are not Midwest. It's snowing. They don't play at the same time. So our girls in California, Arizona, some of these warmer climates get a different type of recruiting. So what achievements do you have in your prospective sport? We're still on performance. Where is this performance measured? Where's it going to be measured at? It's going to be measured at your camps. It's going to be measured at combines, ID camps, showcases. Some of you guys have had college, high school coaches say, oh, you don't have to go to that age-old thing. If you're good, they'll find you. There are too many kids. There are way too many kids going to camp where coaches have been given by the NCAA a calendar in which they can be out. So if a high school coach is still telling you that you don't have to go to camps and you shouldn't go to camps and you don't have to do that, they'll find you, then you would put yourself up against the gun because nobody's just going to find you. What else are you doing? The key word in there, verified camps. When we talk about verified camps, we're talking about national preps, we're talking about rivals, camps like that, where it's verified information by the camp directors and people who have information when you ran a 40, when they measured you, how tall are you, when they weighed you, when they took your wingspan. When they did that and they put it, they can verify by that website, by that company, that you really ran a 4.5. You really went 4.54. The reason why, and a lot of kids, the bigger part of that is everybody's 4.3. Everybody, no, if all the NFL guys aren't 4.3, all these high school guys aren't 4.3. The average high school 40 time is about a 4.65 across the board, across the country. Anybody going lower than that are going to be exceptional athletes. Okay, so verified camps, combines. If you play softball, soccer, they call them ID camps, showcases. Those are where your performance is going to be measured, and that's going to help your PI score go up. This PI score, let me go back to what PI is about. PI is about recognizing and helping you understand that with your PI score, it's helping determine the value you have as a recruited athlete. And now that NIL is there, it will determine how much money you receive. So in your performance and where you go, you're building, and everybody say this, I say it all the time, I am my own brand. I have to brand me. We are in the branding era. Okay, you are the brand. And as we get to the next part, which is going to be influence, it comes back down to, excuse me, guys, branding. What are you branding? How are you branded? What are you doing when you go to that camp? How are you standing out? Yes, they give you a shirt. I'll give you another branding idea. Do you have a colored tight or certain tights? When we saw Flojo, rest in peace, when we see Sha'Carri Richardson with the nails and all that stuff, they're doing stuff to brand themselves and stand out when they're there. Parents, you are in an era right now when you get to these camps and these showcases to perform, you're going to have to be remembered by somebody based upon what you wore, what you look like. Maybe it's your mohawk. Maybe it's the way it's swag. That's all a part of this recruiting game. And when you go, oh, my son's just not that guy. He's just not that. Well, I can give you a real story. I was at Azusa Pacific college camp. I had a young man out. Everybody's got black shirts on that they were given by the camp, and black and burgundy shirts, I think it was, and that the offense wore black and the defense wore black and offense wore this burgundy or white shirt. And this one kid had white tights on under his shorts. And he's the only kid at the camp with the tights on. And every time he made a play, he got loud. He jumped up. And it was like, we started calling the kid white tights. There go white tights again. And every time he did something, I saw college coaches write, I don't know if they wrote white tights. I know they looked at where his number was. He just stood out. And that let me know back then that it's what you do, what you're wearing when you're performing, because this is all going to have some type of influence on your push for recruiting, okay? So when we look at this right now, the next thing is that it's influence. I will tell you this right now, a part of that pie recruiting is a huge, huge piece in how you get paid, how you get recognized, how you brand, how coaches are going to get to know you. And what I'm going to give you guys right now is some real information on on doing this. Again, share this page with your friends because I'm telling you, it's great information here. Influence takes into account the athlete's presence and impact on social media platforms, particularly Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. These are the three platforms. I know parents, I talk to kids and they go, I don't have social media. My mom doesn't want me to have it. Parents, 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 I will tell you right now, you are doing your kid a disservice to take them to all these camps, to pay trainers, to do all the things you're doing and do not have Twitter, or Instagram. You have to have at least two. At least two. If you're smart, you have all three. I'm just telling you that right now. I'm not calling you a dummy. I'm just telling you, you need to have at least two. If you're brilliant, you got all three. And then you need to deal with somebody that's going to be helping you understand what should be going on there. And I'm going to talk about that again. But this is how you build your brand. If I were talking to eighth graders, I asked us to go on Sam James's page with those youth kids. If you got an eighth grader, you're going to hold him back again. You need to get with somebody. It is content creating. This is just like writing a story, writing a movie, building a brand. You have to create the story about who your kid is. No, a lot of you guys remember little Bunchy. You remember the little kid that was running track and everybody was like, oh, his dad got this kid on videos and all that, bringing this attention. But he brought a lot of attention thanks to him, Mike Evans, Lace Facts, and doing what they did with him to build his brand. Now, what goes with that? The performance, the measurable size. Did he grow? What happened? I know Bunchy's at, I believe, El Segundo High School, and he was playing. I don't know what happened with him there, but I know at a young age, he did all the right stuff. You saw him in Super Bowl commercials, and it yielded some other things for him from the marketing that he did. You can take from that. As an eighth grader going into high school, so people start knowing who you are, is when you're building your brand. It doesn't happen your senior year. It doesn't happen your junior year. It doesn't happen your sophomore year. It happens year after year of what you're putting on these three platforms. Twitter is 98% of all college coaches are on Twitter, using Twitter to help with the recruiting process. That's where they recruit from. On Twitter. So if you don't have a Twitter and it is not set up in the right way where coaches can easily find your huddle, where they know where you are, know you need to sign up with a service so you understand. The biggest part of that, I'll get to it because I'll get to what your Twitter should be doing. But social media, again, influence takes into account the athlete's presence and impact on social media. This is how that recruiting is going. The next part of that influence, social media influence has become increasingly important in the NIL era as athletes can monetize their own online presence. You monetizing and building your brand is the biggest part of helping with that process and getting people to your page, to where people are where people are saying, "Hey, we love this guy." Had a great time this weekend watching Nico at Tennessee. But the brand was built. The brand was built online. The brand was built in its performance, right? In its influence. This is how you do it. You can monetize and start making money prior to you even going to college. Get a brand. What I would tell parents right now, one of the things I would be taking notes with is, I need to understand, I need to get a logo for my son. If he's got a nickname, if he's got a part of it, my son's name is Isaiah. They call him Zaya. You know what? I'm going to use a Z and his football number. I'm going to create a logo for him. I'm going to put something on his page on Instagram where kids can maybe start wearing his gear, his hat, his shirt. Branding. You have to brand that kid. Coaches, schools are looking at that. If that kid comes to the university and he's talking about he's got 100,000 followers, 200,000 people, or 50,000 followers, and 5,000 of those followers are buying his T-shirts and stuff. What happens now if he turns out at the University of Alabama, or if he goes to this school? His NIL goes up. It's all about what you're doing. You should be branding. You should be with companies that are talking about that with that student athlete. Whether you're part of the 2% or the 98%, brand, brand, brand. Because whether you go D1, D1 AA, D2, you still can monetize and have a fan base that is going to follow and help get you paid. Okay? Back to it. Twitter. So here's the Twitter thing. The athlete's Twitter activity may include a number of followers, engagement, likes, retweets, and comments. The quality of content and the quality of content related to their sport. The next thing I would do is parents, go get an upgraded camera or phone. Always have your phone or your camera charged, because every time your student athlete is on the field doing anything, you should be using that content. You should be filming that, building that content to say, hey, we got videos, we can put this up, we're gonna put this up on Instagram, that's gonna go to Twitter, that's gonna go on a short on TikTok. Boom, boom, boom. We're trying to touch everything. See, this is what we gotta understand. Social media is a part of that recruiting. And if you don't get that, I'm sorry, that's just kind of how it goes right now, okay? So you want to make sure that you got quality content. You're always, and I tell kids, my clients, hey, you guys got strong body, 0 period, you're in the weight room, take your phone. If you're squatting that day, boom, there go 20 seconds of you squatting. Boom, there go another 5 seconds of you deadlift. Boom, you're benching. Boom, you did what you need to do. Now let's put together a minute video of you with some music, drop it on Twitter. Let's tag these coaches and let them see the transformation of your body and what's going on. This is what you got to be doing on these social media sites. This is where the activity and the work comes in. Recruiting is work. I know somebody just said, man, I didn't know it took all this. Yeah, it takes work, right? The next one, Instagram. So on Instagram, factors like the numbers of followers, engagement on the post, the aesthetics of the profile, and their ability to partner with brands and create sponsored content are considered. So here's the other side. You're on Instagram. We just talked about your logo. We talked about stuff. There are guys on Instagram that are selling clothes, that are doing stuff right now that I'm telling you, as part of this recruiting, you can start partnering with them. My son's in college right now. We just partnered with Columbus Short, my nephew, and his brand. We're partnering with other people who have brands that are saying, hey, can I send you 3 or 4 shirts, for free for you to wear on your page? You got 1,000 followers. This is help building you up, tagging those people, monetizing your page. You are the brand now. You have to think that. And what's not good for your brand? Bad grades, getting in trouble, making sure your name is clean, making sure your page is clean. You and your girlfriend kissing shouldn't be on your page, on Twitter, TikTok, or Instagram, right? You got to make sure your stuff is business. It's football. This is your site of marketing you as an athlete. Got it? The next one is TikTok. TikTok is more known for its short, creative videos. Athletes can create engaging and trending content on this platform that can significantly increase their influence. So short stuff. I would say 3 minutes. I asked a kid, you guys might know him now from being in University of Colorado. We created content for him, a day in the life with Owen Carey on his workout. Take that day as you're going. These kids know how to edit. They know what to do. Take that film, boom, put it together. This is what I do in the morning. I get ready. This is what I eat. We're in the nosy generation. Everybody wants to know what so-and-so is doing. Get your followers up from a show or something like that that creates that for you. When you're at the gym, when you're training, when you're going up against your brother, this is my little brother, we gonna go in here and we gonna battle, blah, blah, blah. People like that. You're just building that. Then some of your clips from your videos, some of your interception, it should hit. If you got a pick or you got 5 touchdowns this last weekend, or you threw touchdowns, you need to go boom, 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 boom. So you hit Twitter, hit Instagram, and hit TikTok. The Twitter one might be longer. The Instagram one might have a little bit of a different twist to it, and the TikTok one might be short and sweet, and there it is. But you're hitting all of the platforms and making sure your information is getting out in front of coaches. Now, many of you ask, Coach EJ, if I'm not part of 2%, why am I doing this? Well, if I'm in the 8th grade, 9th grade, and I'm doing this, and you sign up with the service, this is what we're doing. We're building your brand. So when we talk to an NAIA, Division III, Division II, whoever, they know they're getting a student athlete that is engaged in the football. Because here's the thing. I believe now you're going to have to play down to play up. Most high school kids are going to have to go play D2, D3, NAIA, get film, and continue to promote themselves back to the Power 5 level. That's probably what's going to happen. It's going to be a lot easier when you have a presence online already to get back to something or get something that you never got. So you're going to have to do that. And this is just a part of that process, right? This is what it is, right? So here's some of the questions I get all the time. How many times should a student athlete be tweeting out content per day, per week, right? All right. Hey, it's as simple as you should be doing at a minimum. Be honest with you, a minimum, 2 times per day, 4 times per week, minimum. What do you say 2 times a day? Your first tweet when you get up in the morning, if you listen to Eric Thomas, you're a Bible, you're a Christian, you want to put up a scripture. This is what we call a character tweet. Post a character tweet. This is the day that the Lord has made, and I'm gonna be glad, I'm gonna rejoice and be glad in it. Man, just thank God for waking up. Boom. What do you think coaches are thinking? Who is this kid? I like this kid. Boom. What's your second tweet? Video. You were in strong bodies this morning. Put up the video of you bench pressing. Okay? Boom. That's Monday. Tuesday, what am I doing? Character tweet. You know what I mean? What I got on as a character tweet. I'm always writing down quotes, right? So I might grab a quote from Ben Franklin or somebody. Where's a quote? Yeah, early to bed, early to rise, makes a young man wealthy and wise. Ben Franklin. Boom. I'm put that up. All right. What's my next tweet at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock? Before, boom, there goes some more video. I'm working the ladders. I'm doing agility drills. Boom. I got that up there. Boom. That's Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday, I might not tweet out anything. Thursday, boom. Friday night, we got a game. First tweet in the morning, it's game day. Can't wait to play. Going to play so-and-so. Boom. I'm fired up. Bam. That's the morning tweet. Maybe there's no afternoon tweet. There's a Saturday morning tweet. Played well last night. Boom. There goes some video. I scored. I had a sack. I forced fumble. I did a pick. Whatever it is. Boom. There it is. That's your 4 days. It's done. I do it again next week. Now, the key is who am I tagging? Depending on what grade I'm in, if you're working with a service, I would be telling you if you're a junior, going to be a senior next year, this is where you should be tagging. This is what you should be doing. This is what's going on right now. This is how you should be, these are schools that you should be talking to. If you're not getting recruited by anybody, we're going to start at the bottom. You should be tagging coaches at the NAIA Division III level. Here, how do we find their stuff? Let me show you how to go get that, tag that coach so he can start following you and looking at your stuff. The biggest problem we have with kids and people right now is this question here I get. My kid has been following coaches since the 9th grade and no one has followed him back. What's the problem? Number one, you're following the wrong schools. People follow who they see. Kid says they want to go to Oregon. What is the first thing they do? Oh, I'm following Oregon. What, dude? All right. What did we talk about in the beginning? Measurable size. What grade are you in? I'm a junior. What'd you play last year? I played behind so-and-so, but I had good film. Okay, Oregon might not be it for you right now. We need to introduce you to some schools. Let's introduce you to some coaches on the lower level so we can start, get you bubbling. You're not simmering at all right now. You just water in the pot. But nobody's telling you this. And so mom and dad say, oh, yeah, he made all league. He was second team. He was this, that. Nobody's called. Well, who you been? We've been tweeting everybody. Okay, what year is he? He a sophomore. He played varsity, but it ain't happening. No, Division I coaches can't follow you until you're September 1st of your junior year. So now that he's a junior, all you guys are saying ain't nobody following him. Have you done the follow-unfollow rule? So go unfollow those coaches, follow them back again, and they'll get a notification that they have a new follow. Because you've been sitting there since the 9th grade. Nobody knows you because they couldn't follow you according to NCAA rules. But parents don't read that on the site. They just go, somebody told me he needs to be tagging coaches and ain't nobody getting back with him. Well, what grade was he in? Who was he tagging? There's a science. Who are you tagging? Who are you reaching out to? You can't be trying to tag Nick Saban. Right? Lastly, parents, you have to handle your kids' social media with them if you want to see the results. You can't say, oh, I'll leave that up to him. It's the same question as you ask, how was your test today? Good. How many times you tweet out? I did 2. Okay. What you tweet? Did you tag me? Mom and dad, you should have a Twitter. Get a whole nother name. So you know what's going on. This is what you pay for. But if you're paying for it and then you go, I don't know what he's tweeting out. I don't know who's tagging him. I don't know who's talking. Then you don't know. What did you pay? What did you pay the money for? You have to help handle that. You have to go, well, I don't know enough. That's why you sign up with a service so somebody can help you and say, hey, I follow my guys. My guys call me and say, hey, coach, you didn't retweet that. I put up a video. Boom, I'm doing it right now. Boom, I'm doing it right now. I got this many clients, so sometimes I might miss it. But if you tag me, I'm on Twitter. I'm looking at notifications. I'm retweeting. Why? Because when I retweet, I got over 2,000 coaches following me. So when I retweet a kid, boom, there go a coach being able to look at it. I'm telling kids, follow guys that you know that you played 7-on-7 with that were older than you, and you played high school with or played at the same high school. Why? Ballers know ballers. Okay? This is all a part of the influence part that we got to have. You got to have this. This is what a lot of people do not know. Okay? You got to help them. You have to monitor that. You have to monitor this social media. Looking at notes now. Yeah. Yes, let's partner up. I do social media training all the time. That's a big part of the recruiting. Okay. So you got to do it. The next thing in the pie is we talked about is performance. We talked about influence, exposure. Exposure encompasses of various factors related to how widely the athlete's content is seen and shared. You guys have to understand with exposure, you cannot not go to camps. You cannot not be tweeting and not doing all three of the social media pieces. Okay. But your exposure encompasses various factors. So I work and write for a company called 4.0 Sports Media. My clients, I get them an actual article written by 4.0 Sports Media on Twitter, an article written by us about them under an alias name, and we tag a number of coaches. That article is a real magazine, it's a real thing, but I help write this about my student athletes to help push their names out there. See, there's a lot of other factors. You guys are going, oh, another guy, Ryan, God, Lord, RNG, recruiting news guru. Ryan writes about a number of student athletes. Your exposure when you go to camps, parents, here's another note, write it down. If I don't see the 24/7 Sports logo on and everybody's using it saying 24 Sports will be there, no, I know they're going to be at National Preps. They have a partnership. I know they're going to be at Rivals. I know they're going to be somewhere where they say they're going to be. When the writers are there, they help drive recruiting because they're helping with the exposure of that. So if you're not there and you're at just some backyard boogie 7-on-7, if you're just at whatever camp you can be at and there's no writers there that's going to help put your stuff on Twitter. You know, we have prep zone here in the Valley. We have pad meter in the Valley in Bakersfield. If you don't see writers there, it may not be a very good camp, but what you want to do is make sure that somebody's tweeting out XYZ is here. I'm glad Rashard Westbrook is on here. He does so much for his son, and I know it's his son, and I did the same for all three of mine. But parents, tweeting out. Get an alias. Nobody has to know who you are. Tweet it out. Johnny was here, blah, 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 blah. Look good, had 3 catches, boom, boom, boom. Now, key is, who are you tagging? Who are you making sure sees that? That's exposure. You got to create it. You got to put it there. That's what it's for. So again, camps, showcases, right? Camps and showcases. Attend participation in high-profile camps, showcases, tournaments can increase the athlete's exposure to the scouts and recruiters. You guys, you can't go to everything. I don't know what the Tiki Bowl is. I'm not talking about the Tiki Bowl, but I get stuff that I've never seen before. Okay? I know Rival Speed Camp. If you are a young man and you have not done anything I would suggest, yes, go to Rival Speed Camp. Anytime that you can get measurements of 40 time and combine stuff for free, it puts your name in the pot. Now your name is in the pot. It helps starts bringing that exposure. So that free camp, though you're not invited to the next day to the invite only, because your goal is to be there by the end of your sophomore year or your sophomore year if you're playing varsity. But you got to go to the first one. And NCSA is going to get you there. They're going to write you. They're going to call you. But you're there that your measurements get there, right? National preps, you go there. Somebody, why are you always pushing that? Go to that. Next gen, go to that. Mom and dad, that it's work and it costs money. Now, key point, love what Mr. Hawkins just said. If you're not ready to go, this is where your performance comes in. You got to go find Les Johnson in Arizona. You got to go find Anthony Brown in LA. You got to go find a trainer that's going to help you get camp and combine ready, that's helping you with your body, helping you understand the lingo. Because one of the biggest things that we have with kids is that they come to camp, they're not ready. Oh, I'm good at my high school and I'm not ready. This is a whole gamut of things that you got to pay for to help you get the exposure. In my city, I'm talking to Bakersfield. Our kids, we got good local guys, but the local guys, if they don't know anybody, if they're not talking to writers, if they don't know who to call to say, check this kid out, you're just doing a local camp. You're just doing something here. If you're just good in town, what does that mean? We have 23 high schools, and up until right now, we only have had 1, 2, 3 kids sign Division I this year thus far in this class. We should have 1 or 2 more in February. That's it. 23 high schools. What's not happening? Exposure. Our kids are not getting exposed. They're not exposing themselves. Parents are not getting on Twitter. Oh, it costs. It costs. Yes, it costs. You have to do some things that are going to help move the needle on your kid, right? Media coverage. I just talked about that again. Got to have athletes who receive media attention through interviews, features, or highlights are exposed to a larger audience. You got to go to Pylon. If you guys are going to play 7-on-7, talk to somebody about playing 7-on-7 and that you're going to play 4 major tournaments, 5 major tournaments. In those 5 is 1 Vegas, is 1 Houston. Are you going to Florida? Are you going to some major stuff where runs are going to be, where you're going to play against the top competition? So when you're going, do you got to go to 10? You know, a few years ago, all of us, Ground Zero, Pro A, Premium, I thought we were doing way too many tournaments. But when you look at it, our kids was getting way more exposure. We were in Florida. We were in Oregon. We were over here. When you're on those top teams. And here's what I want to say to everyone. Any of you who have daughters that play softball, volleyball on a club team, 7-on-7 is no different than being on that club team. And if you make the top team on those volleyball teams and those softball teams and those club soccer teams, those parents are spending an average of $8,000 to $12,000 during that little window. So when you're talking about travel and 7-on-7 costs and this, that, and the other, you have to understand what the value is when people go, I heard Coach Shaw at Stanford, who's not the coach anymore, say, oh, I don't use 7-on-7 to recruit a kid. I call lie. Every one of these coaches are using it. When I say they're using it, they're using the information that was written by the writers who were at those 7-on-7 tournaments, who wrote about the size of that kid in the spring, the speed and the movement of that kid that they just saw, they reported on. And when they say, well, we don't use it for recruiting, yes, you do, because you're reading what they wrote and you're saying that's somebody else that verified and validates the fact that why this kid is on my list. Now, do I got to play it to be recruited? Okay, some say yes, some say no. I say you need to play it at the right level and on the right team with the right exposure, with the right writers getting the right media coverage. So at that point, can get now that ball rolling in your recruiting. And I'm telling you right now, if you're an 8th grader, you need to be playing. 9th grader going into high school, you need to be playing right now. You need to be going to some of these early camps. And parents, you say, oh, I got an 8th grader. Should he go to this high school stuff? He hasn't went to high school yet. Yes, he should. You know why he should go to these camps? Because now he's going to get to see what he's going to be up against. You got to see what he's going to be doing, right? He doesn't understand what a star drill is and an L drill and a short shuttle, and he's never done none of this stuff. You don't want him coming out there in after the 9th grade for his first camp. Take him to 8th grade. Yeah, maybe he looks silly in the 8th grade, but guess what? He got 4 more years of this. But he gets his feet wet, right? Gets to understand what this whole thing is about. Okay, so we definitely want to make sure that those are some of the factors that happen, right? The next thing, social media. Again, we're back to social media. The athletes' followers. Again, this is your exposure. What are you doing? Now, I'm going to tell you guys something. The engagement of your content is going to play a critical role. Some of you guys, if you go to church, some of you guys, if you're doing community service, if you are building your brand, you got to have that camera on all the time. And, I like to say you almost have to become a Kardashian. At the end of the day, you have to almost become that kind of social media push is something that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to push and put that out there. And again, I'm not only talking to the 2% athlete. I'm talking about all you guys that say you want to play, again, at the next level, whatever level that is. You have to have some level of exposure within your brand, okay? So here's the deal. As a result of the PI system, it helps colleges identify recruits who can contribute to their program, while also bringing value through their influence and exposure in a digital landscape. You have to be able to use all of this stuff to your advantage, okay? The system, again, it helps institutions make more of an informed decision in involving the landscape of college athletics and recruitment. What does that mean? If I'm going to pay you and you got 25,000 followers and you got an influence, I'm going to pay you. I'm going to recruit you. I'm going to start building my kid's brain. If I, and so as I talk to you about this today and we close, I'm going to, open up for questions. I would tell you right now, I got a kid, he got a nickname, he got a name already. Don't go do the old XFL when he hate me. Use his name, his number, do something classy, and build his brand. Go get his T-shirts made. Pass them out to his friends. People like him in the stands. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, follow me on Twitter. Put it on the back of the shirt. You know what I mean? The Deacon. Follow the Deacon on Twitter. Put his tweet there. I'm going to give you a shirt, but I need you to follow him on Twitter right now. Build it up, build it up, build it up, build it up, build it up. That's what you're doing. That's where recruiting is right now. Because I'm telling you guys right now, they're not the high school kid that's just playing football and want to go off of just performance and doesn't have the I part, the influence and the exposure. He's getting overlooked. He's getting overlooked. It's not gonna happen. So I'm gonna open up for questions for you guys right now. Anybody have any questions? I'm looking right now on Facebook right now at questions, but I don't know if there's any questions that I can pull my phone for because I'm on Twitter as well as YouTube at this time. So I want to make sure if there's any questions that anybody might have, we can definitely answer those questions about performance, influence, and exposure type recruiting and where recruiting is today. Again, with the portal, it has changed the entire scope. I would tell you again, I work from the bottom up, from NAIA all the way to Division I. I'm working with student athletes that are going to be on every scope. I will say again, I believe in this era, you're going to have a lot of good football players playing Division II, III, and NAIA who might have to play down to play up. But if they learn how to do this part of their recruiting and market themselves, if they had to play down to come back and play at a Power 5 or a bigger mid-major school, by putting their content, putting their film there, I will tell you parents right now, most of you guys need, not most, 99% of you guys need social media training, and you guys need to have I would tell you guys all need to have somebody that knows what college coaches are looking for in video, because I see some horrific huddles when they come across my desk all the time. You know, if you're on special teams and you're not running the kickback, having a special teams clip on your huddle is a no-no, because you blocked the guy and you knocked him off his feet. Coaches don't want to see that. So that's a wasted clip, right? So a lot of times, you know, I see some terrible stuff, right? I know that ain't true. Just asked me that. He laughing when he asked me that. I can tell the way he typed. He says they're still saying if you work hard, they'll find you, still matter and work. Absolutely not. Parents, the age old, if you're good, they'll find you. Is not going to happen. It just doesn't. It just doesn't happen. Um, it just does not happen. And I'm waiting to go on with Henry Bell. He made a comment, and I think Eric is asking me pretty much the same thing. He says, "Do you suggest D2 over JC? If not, what would be the best route?" So my suggestion is this. Here's what I'm going to tell you with that. I would suggest D2 NAIA D3 over JC. That's me, because depending on who you are and your size, it comes back down to measurable size. Couple reasons why. If you go to the JC level out of high school feeling like somebody missed you, right? And let's say you're 6 feet. Let's give you right at measurable size. You feel like they missed you for whatever reason, and you go to JC. The likelihood now you were a qualifier of you leaving in 4 months, 5 months, because JC again, August, September, October, November, December. You qualified out of high school, you're a 6-foot DB, you feel like everybody missed you. You just put yourself in another class, because if you graduated this year in 24, you just put yourself in a 25 class, which now has a whole nother gamut of athletes, and you put yourself in another portal class, which has a whole nother gamut of athletes who went before you just 5 months ago. So if you're not going to go to the JC and be on the field 85% of the time or as a starter and have enough film to get out, what's your goal? So when you ask that question, I got to ask, what's your goal? If I go D2, I'm in, and here's where it's a big misnomer. If I go Division 2, Division 3, I am able to go into what is a Division 2 or Division 3. The NCAA is the organization. If I go Division 2 or Division 3, I can go into NCAA transfer portal. If I go D2 and make all conference, and I'm going to say 2 years, if I use the D2 like I would use a JC, and I went to D2 and I played, and I made all conference, and in the second year I made all conference, all American, I got an all American honorable mention. I got film enough now to go into the portal and maybe call somebody and say, hey, can you help me? This is what I did at the D2 level. I may scratch the surface now at a Division 1 AA or Division mid-major like a Division mid-major like a Fresno or San Jose State or somebody like that may take me and say, hey, man, he balled on D2. He can play. He worked on his body. He got better from when in high school. I watched him. We didn't take him then. We told him we would take him as a preferred walk-on. He took the D2, worked out, got better, got bigger, got stronger. I take him now. That's what I would do, because somebody tell me right now, in California, if you look right now, how many guys on the JC level are going Power 5? How many guys are going mid-major? The numbers are not staggering. They're not. You can probably say, 52 maybe, that are going. On a JC level, on a national level, I would tell you, if you're going to schools like Independence and schools like you saw on schools you saw on Last Chance U, Independence, Coffeyville, you go play in that Kansas National Junior College market, that market is going to give you a whole different feel than a California market where we get kids, but they get kids to Power 5 school. Coffeyville, Garden City, those guys are getting guys out to major schools. Not that Mount Sac isn't, not that RCC isn't, but it's a different feel that way You got SEC school, Big Ten schools, Conference USA schools that are going into that Kansas market, looking at those schools on that level. Somebody else asked a question. Yes. What are the chances of a kid going from D2 to 1AA? Absolutely able to go from D2 to 1AA, especially if you're a kid. And I like the question, if you're a kid that went in the portal and you have value, and here's how you know you have value. You graduated early, you got 3 years to play, you can go Division 2, go ball out Division 2, get your grades up, do what you need to do, and you can bounce right into Division 1AA if you're all conference guy in a very good D2 league. So that's another thing. When you're working with a service, understand. I have kids that Anthony Villanueva, a kid from Bakersfield, just went, and another kid that played James. They play in the MIAA, which is in the Midwest. They played at Missouri Western. Missouri Western has 2 kids that'll probably play in the East-West Shrine game. One will play in the Senior Bowl. They have NFL teams coming to that school. It's an NFL, it's a Division 1 type facilities, weight room. It's a huge Division 2 program in the Midwest. When you're looking at those D2 schools, you got to be looking at those schools that are in those type leagues. If you're looking at schools in the RMAC, which is the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, looking at schools like Colorado School of Mines, high academic kid. I'm a linebacker, Adrian Moreno there, just played in the national championship, graduated early. He's going to get his engineering degree, got 1 more year to play. Those type schools are playing at a high Division 2 level. Ferris State, Valdosta State. You got to be looking at Tyrone Wheatley now is at Wayne State in Michigan. Those schools are going to be where I'm going to go look at D2 schools. I'm going to look at schools that are in that top 25. If I feel like I got a kid that just kind of got overlooked, and put them in that situation, because some of those D2 schools are going to be better. If you're not going to North Dakota State, you're not playing at Sac State here in California, that are not going to be in that Division 1AA playoff, then that next bottom half 50, 26 through 50 aren't that much better than that Division 2 top 25. You're right at the same level. So a lot of times we're dealing with ego when it comes to, I want to go D2, or I don't want to go NAIA, I'm going to go D2. Well, I got a kid I sent to Fort Lewis. You guys understand this with Fort Lewis. I have kids at Fort Lewis is a D2. It's in the RMAC. They are 0-24 in 2 years. They have not won a game. They lost 2 games in 2 years to NAIA programs. But the kids that went there only went there because they logo chased and they division chased. I got to play D2. Well, it was a terrible D2. It was a D2 that was worse than the NAIA. But because it was D2, it made them feel good. You got to get out of that. You got to go find, and I hear people say it all the time, the right fit. But if you know D2s, are you going to D2football.com, and are you studying? Which what we do is we study the league. Which is the best league? Which league is putting guys in the league? Ferris State has won 3 of the last 4 Division 2 championships. Kid Sean Stevens led the country in interceptions with 16 interceptions in 2 years. He's going to be a late round NFL draft guy. Went to junior college here, went to high school here, was a walk-on, said, forget it, I'm going to go play D2. And he went and showed them, y'all missed out. Led the country with 8 last year and came back and did it again at another school and grabbed 8 more. So don't tell me it can't happen. You just it's got to be what you want to do, right? Somebody said talk academics. Definitely you want to say, speak on academic D2 tiers from D2 to NAIA. The bottom line is if you're a 3.0 or better on the D2 NAIA level, because they're going to use 3 things to help give you money. 1 is going to be your academics, 2 is going to be football or your sport, and 3 is going to be if you qualify for a Pell Grant financial aid. That's just what it is. If you're a full Pell, I talked to New Mexico Highlands last night, was talking to the coach, and he says, look, we like this kid. Is he a full Pell Grant? I said, yeah, he's a Pell Grant. He said, well, he won't pay anything. He won't pay anything because they know if you got a 3.0 or better or 2.5 or better coming from a JC, something like that, and you're going to go D2, you're going to be able to go get some money. NAIA, you guys, I put it up there. If you got a 3.0, NAIA schools that I've worked with are coming in at right about 42,000. We've been able to get about $35,000 to $36,000 for each of those students, leaving about $6,000 or $7,000 left over. Which, if you get financial aid, you can pay that. That financial aid is only going to pay your housing. But if $7,000 keeps you from going NAIA and you go JC for 2 years and then jump back, the likelihood of you going bigger from JC is only going to be probably D2 to another NAIA. And then you got to look at the factor. Most of my kids, or our kids in California, are saying they don't want to really leave California. They don't really want to leave here. Well, if you've never played in cold weather and you say, well, I'm going to just go JC because I want to see if I can get something better, the likelihood of you going somewhere bigger and not cold is unlikely, because all of the DT schools are starting. You're talking New Mexico, which is cool, but then Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Midwest, all the way back to the East Coast. So you have to understand what those factors are going to do, how those factors are going to work for you if you go JC. And I want to say this because I don't want any JC coaches going, because I had one coach say, you hate JC. I don't. I just look at the numbers. I'm telling you the numbers. When you have kids, I have a kid at Presbyterian. It's Division I, but he's like, I like it, but he's there because it's Division I. It's way across the country. I think what's her name? To go. I think her son is at Presbyterian. I got another kid just signed D1 right now. He's going to a school called Harding in Massachusetts, right outside of New England. He's going out there in Boston area. He's a California kid. He's got to get ready for the snow. And he went to JC, led his league, led high school in tackling, led him in tackles and all that. But when he went to the JC level, the portal wasn't really there. Now it's there. It's, do I choose this 800 kids from JC, or do I look in this portal of 4,000 kids that have already been at a Power 5 or mid-major or at a school? What do I do? So that's what these coaches are doing, and so that's what you need to do. What about Modesto Junior College? They're top-ranked JC. One at the program like that would benefit kids more than some NAIA program. Here's again, I'll say it again. If it's going to benefit, what's the benefit? Tell me the benefit. Is the benefit that they are going to go to that school and actually get on the field right out of high school? I can tell you COS, Bakersfield, Riverside, a lot of kids are going and they're going, oh yeah, they think, here's the mindset. It's easy. It's JC. It's the 13th grade, right? I'm going to JC. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to just start. They're not factoring in bounce backs. They're not factoring in a 22-year-old. They're not factoring in a guy who said, nah, you know what, I sat around for 2 years, I'm going to go play, who's bigger, stronger, faster. You're coming out of high school. You're 17, you're 18. Even if you're a holdback, you're coming out. You haven't played on this level. Now, if that kid is going to get on the field and that team is very good and they're developing him and he can get ready to leave, is he trying to leave in 2 years or is he trying to leave in 5 months? Because if he's trying to leave in 5 months, he better be on the field. But if he's not going to leave for the next 2 years, and here's the bigger question. Somebody asked about academics. Is he a student? Is he really a student? JC swallows guys who barely got over in high school. It swallows them because there's nobody there holding your hand. So parents have to understand what they're dealing with. And so you have to create the picture. You have to create the picture a lot better than you gonna go to JC and you gonna get out. No, the picture is this. If you were a C average student in high school with all the accountability and the people that around you in high school to help you in JC, when they're not calling you and there's no voice recorders and you miss class and nobody's looking, then can he do it? So you better paint the picture of what this really looks like. Is he mature enough to go and really have a plan at JC? Is he mature enough to go NAIA and say, this is college football for me? I'm playing it. It's, you have to make that that factor. Um, I just used the example of my son when he got in trouble at Nevada and came home to JC, came home and played 1 year at JC or 5 months of JC. Every wide receiver did not factor him coming home. They said, "Oh, he's in college." They didn't factor. They went through spring, they went through summer, they played, they were good. Then boom, here comes this guy. He's a bounce back. They moved one receiver to DB, another receiver didn't play. Boom, he went on in San Jose. This one, like, man, I ain't got no film now. So you got to factor that. We don't know. You got to factor that. What's the next question? Why do we need someone to advocate for you now? So the advocation now, and E, you helping me right now because this is where I'm talking about it. The reason why we talk about having a high school recruiting service advocate for you now is because there are so many kids. If your high school coach, I can tell you right now, with NIL and the way this is working, they didn't know what was going on now. They were calling everybody handlers and this and that, and they because they want to coach and teach and go home. They don't want to spend the extra 5 hours or 6 hours on the phone calling schools, finding out, what division. Hey, you know what? I think he can play maybe at the NAIA level. Let me get on the phone and call 10, 15 schools for this kid. Let me send out his film. They don't want to do that, right? They don't do that. A lot of coaches don't do that. Some coaches do. I don't want to say that. But I would tell you now, you need more of an advocate because coaches have so many options. They buy lists. They look at film. What's going to make a coach look at your film versus when I call? When I call, he has a relationship with me. I just placed a kid from Cal to Washington. When I call that coach, they were getting ready for the Sugar Bowl against Texas. He picked up the phone. I said, "I got a guy, man. He looking to leave." Boom, 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 boom. Hey, he picked up the phone. Some of these guys aren't picking up the phone for people. So having an advocate opens the door, and it's somebody that has worked with colleges since 1995 and watch guys come up as GAs that are now defensive coordinators and DB coaches and head coaches. You can get you can get a guy to say, "Hey, let me look at it." Yesterday, I didn't even say hi to Coach Cooper at UNLV, and I had to call him back and say, "Hey, man, I didn't even say Happy New Year, Merry Christmas. Sorry, I'm so used to just sending you film." But boom, he said, "I got it. I'll take a look at it. Get back with you." Guys that are going to really get back with you, having that advocate for parents is huge because most parents tend to believe that the school coach is looking out for their kid and every other kid. True story, just had a Division II school at my house recruiting my other son the other day. And I said, "Hey, man, what's your area?" And the coach said, "I got Arizona. I got Arizona, California." And I said, "Hey, well, I got a linebacker at Mountain Point High School. Demetrius Johnson really played." He said, "I was just there." I said, "Oh, cool." Then coach, he said, "Coach never told me about it." So wait a minute. Got my phone. I start sending them the information, send him his transcripts. Send him. He said, "All right, man, I'm gonna be on the plane. I'm gonna take a look at it. I'll get back with you." The coach was just at the school. Just at the school. He said the head coach never told me this is a senior linebacker on his team. Yeah, I did. I called his parents. I said, "Hey, you guys need to understand that a coach was just there. What's the name of the school?" I said, "Minot State." He was just there. "Is your coach name Coach?" And he said, "Yeah." I don't know the coach's name. I don't. That's not my job to know your coach's name. My job is to help place your kid. And he said, "Coach did not tell me. He didn't show me film on your kid." So I did my job, letting the parents know, "Hey, you might want to tell the coach when we're coming up January 11th. We're getting out of dead period. Schools are going to be back out looking at guys, getting ready for their 25s, maybe scratching the surface saying, is there any 25s left? We didn't get a guy out the portal we wanted to see." But if your coach don't say nothing about you, there's nothing you can do. But having an advocate is going to be huge for you because we get to talk. We don't fall in a dead period. I can talk to coaches all the time, right? Right? So you said high school All-American game. What is your take on HBU and some of your contact? So here's the thing: the high school All-American game. I don't know, Crump, what you want me to talk about, but is it on? High school All-American game on? Okay. You said, what's your take on HBCUs and content? The biggest thing about kids on the West Coast with HBCUs and what we have to understand is I know a lot of the parents would love for their kids to play at an HBCU. You just got to have your money ready because they don't have the budgets. They don't. They really don't have the budget. If they take a California kid, it's like taking two scholarships from them. So if your kid is a high academic kid and want to play at Jackson State, Howard, or Florida A&M, you got to understand those schools now are going in the portal as well. But having your grades right to get into this HBCU is going to be huge. Tennessee State, a couple years ago, working with Coach Cordell Knox and a couple other coaches, I think it was Clark Phillips' dad. His son went down to Tennessee State. Now he jumped in the portal. He's going to San Diego State, I think it is, I saw. But they took it. If you had a 3.0 or better and you were an African-American athlete, school was absolutely free for you. Then you have to take those opportunities, bet on yourself, pay for the dorms, because I think it's just tuition. So when somebody says tuition free, it's tuition. It's not room and board, which is probably another $7,500. But again, that's $7,500, and you guys go do something like that. That's going to help you out in the process. So I think with the HBCUs, just understand that. Then again, back to your kid. Know your kid. Can they deal with the South? Can they deal? You got family down there? Have they ever been there? Do they know about the flying roaches? Can they handle the mosquitoes at Grandma? Can they? It's a whole nother thing, because we hear people, oh, you want to go to HBCU. Is he ready for it? Right? You got to make sure of that. Henry Bell, I said I would wait for Mr. Henry Bell. I want Mr. Henry Bell and I to talk. I want him to, I think I wrote on his page that I didn't agree with him. I do agree with him that you should bet on yourself. And I'm going to speak about what we were talking about, and then maybe he and I can get on and I can get more insight. And I always say that Mr. Henry Bell, who started B2G, is a pioneer and somebody that I don't hear enough people talk about, because without him doing what he did, there could be really all you guys doing 7-on-7 and doing, the training. Because when I heard about B2G, my sons were too young, was the training that was involved. And I'll say that as we go back to what you should be doing in your performance and your influence getting ready. A lot of you guys play a whole lot of 7-on-7, and I was a 7-on-7 a whole lot guy. But I love what Anthony Brown taught me. He said, you know what? 7-on-7, we don't go to win tournaments. We go to see if the work in which we're doing is panning out and is resonating with the kids. So a lot of you guys get caught up with 7-on-7, and you need to get caught up with training and preparing your kid to look well at these camps. Because again, do 7-on-7 help? It helps in the sense of the writers being able to write about your kid. But if your kid's not performing because he doesn't train, it don't add up. But what Mr. Bell was talking about was, he said he had something he was talking about betting on yourself, and you would rather take a walk on. And my only, I wouldn't say disagreement is that it is so hard now to get a walk on. It's not like it was 5 years ago. They're not just taking walk-ons. If you can get a walk-on, it's great. Now, Eric asked, would you take a D2 over a JC? Question, would you take a walk-on over a D2? Over some money? Would you pay? Just if you really feel, and I think this is what he was saying, if you really feel like you're that guy and they missed you and you can walk on, then go walk on. Bet on yourself. I'm going, okay, let's go. I just got a text. I got to call a client right now. He just got offered another preferred walk-on. They're not willing to pay. But at his position, what I'm going to talk to him about, at his position at quarterback, when they're taking older guys every year that played somewhere else, you got to tell me right now why you wouldn't take a walk-on and prove yourself if you're that guy. Now, if it's at this one particular school, I can get it. But if I got a walk-on at UCLA, a walk-on at Washington State or something like that, then I'd probably take that walk on if I feel like they miss me, if I'm going to get it. But I better understand the whole walk on process. Am I asking the right questions? How many quarterbacks is it? It's going to be 5. And I'm the 5th because I'm the walk on, right? What is the likelihood of me actually earning a scholarship in a year? Coach has to say, unlikely. Then I might go play D2 because I might have the opportunity at the D2 to become a Division II All-American, all-conference guy that has film now that I can go and find the right D1 that says, hey, he can play. I don't care what level it is. But I'm not going to go and be the walk-on scout guy, don't travel, and I'm not really getting the opportunity to earn a scholarship, just the post that I committed to a school to make everybody think I got a scholarship and that I go to UCLA, but I'm really not playing. And in the next year, they're not going to see me. And then I have no value. I'm going to jump in the portal as I was at UCLA. Did you play? No, I was a walk-on. You have no value. The value is in playing. And that's what I would say to Mr. Bell. Is the value in playing, or is the value in just saying I was a walk-on, I bet on myself, it didn't work, and now I'm back to where I was coming out of high school? That was my I wouldn't say disagreement. That was just my thought when I said that. Don't forget about those 7-on-7 guys. Chuck Levy, who was a guru. Chuck Levy was the guru in AZ. Absolutely. Absolutely. TC, what should you do if as soon as you sign the NIL, a week later the head coach leaves, DEJON Journey? So if you do that, I think if you sign the NIL deal and the head coach leaves, you got to make sure in that contract is it contingent on the head coach that you getting your money. Because if you're not getting your money, if your money was contingent on the head coach, when he left, you left, your money left. So you need to figure out, make sure you had some good relationships before you did it, right? So any other questions as I close down here right now? Want you guys to understand recruiting presentation. I'm doing recruiting presentations for your high school sports programs. I believe, guys, right now, NIL, not NIL, NLI. What did he say? I'm sorry. If you sign your national letter of intent a week later, your high school coach leave. I think if you signed it and the head coach leave, you're still good. You shouldn't be picking a school. Thank you, Justin. You should be picking a school for the coach anyway. I understand it's easier said than done. But at the end of the day, you signed it. NCAA allows you to get out of it because the head coach was gone. But hey, that's money. I'm gonna stay there, find out who they got, and I'm gonna play. I'm gonna go do what I gotta do until it's time to go. He says, I've been saying this process starts early in the 6th grade. What should a parent begin the process and why? I think now 6th, 7th grade, what we talked about earlier as far as influence, making sure you got a Twitter set up, your page is good, your Instagram is good, you're filming, the younger you do it, coaches are able to see the process of a student athlete, right? Even though they can't follow you on Twitter, they can look at you, they can see you, they can see, they go and look at it, right? They go and look at Instagram, they go look at some of the stuff that's there. And if you're getting the buzz as a kid, as I brought up little Bunchy, people knew who that kid was because his dad, Mike and his dad, they were just putting stuff out. They were making sure we knew who Bunchy was. His hair was colored. He was a brand. So if you look at it from, I am going to start branding this kid in the 6th grade, 7th grade. And if he's playing on those high level teams like, the Ducks, and he's traveling already, he's already in a position to build that brand. And I got to give a shout out to my guy, Skylar Blackman. If you guys are looking for somebody that is going to be able to give you quality work, he is in the IE. He is a guy that I would be reaching out for. Some of the things that I would tell parents that right now too is you better get a trainer. You better hire a videographer if you're not that guy. Put that person on a retainer weekly. Hey, here's our 10 games. What games can you come to? And here, how much is it? Is it $60, $100 a game? Is it editing? What is it? I'm going to pay you up front because I need good footage for my son to go on his page. That's where we are right now. You're going to have to do that as well. But Skylar Blackman definitely is a guy I will be working with in the IE. Check him out. The 90s, the 909, the 909s, I think it is. Or I hope he didn't change the name of the company. But I would definitely say that, because you have to get that name out there as soon as possible. Also, I would tell you, you got to find you a videographer, find you a video person. But I want to say to you guys, high schools, if you guys are at private school or high school, or you're a booster, definitely reach out to me. I do these presentations for the boosters, for the parents with our service. If you're in Arizona, I do it with my partner, Eric Muhammad, as well as Lester Johnson. You're a high school that would like to have somebody come in and speak about recruiting, speak about what you guys need to be doing, or handle your recruiting. California recruits, Arizona recruits, Texas recruits. We do this. This is what we do all the time. All right. As far as making sure that we are there to be your recruiting coordinators or handle the recruiting. I think every staff now in high school, if I were an 8th grade parent going into high school, my number one question to the coach is, if I have a kid that wants to play at the next level, what do you have in place right now that's going to help my kid get there? What do you guys do starting from day one? Right? If they don't start talking about A through G classroom requirements and they don't have a recruiting coordinator, then I would be saying, okay, then this may not be the school for my kid. And I think every college or high school coach should be mirroring what colleges are doing. They should have somebody that understands the recruiting process and what's going on right now. These schools, I think Frontier High School in Bakersfield did an amazing job this year with hiring Ernie Jackson and his company, Eternal Video, Eternal Events. I want to make sure I get it right. If you're here in Bakersfield, he does a great job. I would hire those guys out to make sure your video is getting out. This is all a part of the recruiting process now. But I think a high school should have a videographer that's following and posting. If your high school doesn't have an Instagram or a Twitter page, you're in the booster program, you should be saying that. You should be saying, how are we promoting our kids? Who's handling our max preps? Who's making sure the stats are there? We need help on every level to make sure our kids' information is getting where it needs to get so college coaches can do it. And people go, oh, they don't really look at that. Well, yeah, coaches do. They get on max preps. They find your schedule. They know what number you wear. If your stuff is updated, it's a good deal. So I think every high school should have a recruiting coordinator. If you don't, we go in and we become the recruiting coordinators for your high school. We'll handle the max preps. We'll put an A through G requirement tracker sheet together for you. We will come in your booster meetings with your incoming 8th graders or people that want to come and let them know what we do at your school. So if you want a presentation for your high school, my number's there at carecruits.com. You definitely want to do that as well for those presentations. This month, as I close down, sign up with California Recruits, Texas Recruits, Arizona Recruits. We have special pricing for January to the end of the month. It is literally more than half off of what we do. So I would tell you, call, fill out carecruits.com, free profile, put a message in there. I'm very interested in the program, getting my kid going. You class of 2025 parents. I just met with Los Alamitos. I meet with those guys all the time. I've been there, met with parents. They're sitting around like, yeah, recruiting has started for your class right now. I don't know what you're doing. Don't know what your Twitter looks like. Don't know what video you're putting up. Don't know if you got invites already to national preps. Don't know if you don't have any of that, you're already behind the 8 ball in the 2025 class. So, and I'm saying behind the 8 ball, whether it's D1, D2, D3, NAIA, no one knows who you are. So if you want to sign up right now, would be a very good time to sign up with the service and get going and get going and get your plan together. Everything is about having a plan. Some of you might already have NCSA. We have a discount for people who have come from another service that really don't know how to use don't know how to use the CRM system. I worked with NCSA for a year and a half. If you say, DEJON, I'm with them, but I need social media training, we have a package for that, so I can help you with the CRM system in which you've already paid for. But I'll charge a fee for helping you with your social media and helping you build that as well. So it's something that we want to be able to help a kid. And if you guys have kids who can play, who just cannot afford a service, please do not let money be the factor. What we do is we help them write letters to sponsors. So if there's a kid that says, hey, we can only pay this much, can you help me write the 10 letters so I can go get sponsorship to pay for the rest of the service? We will help student athletes. We do not want any kid left behind. We don't want any kid left behind. We will help them in that process to help them finish their dream of playing at the next level, getting their degree and going on, especially my South Central LA kids. Dorsey Crenshaw, I have Dorsey Crenshaw, Fremont, any of those kids in those schools, I have a special pricing, special stuff that I help with them. I will help them go find a sponsor so we can get them going. Okay, so that's it for today. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for tuning in. My number's there, California Recruits. Thank you guys for listening to the podcast. I hope you were blessed. I hope you learned something that you will take and share with somebody else. I will leave this up for the next 30 days. It'll be up, and we'll go from there. Thank you guys for tuning in. DEJON. I don't know how to get out of here. Yeah, I do. I'm out.